Hello, and welcome to the I'm Angry podcast. You're on with Mike. So next to me is Matt. Johnny's next to him, and across the table is the other Mike. Today we're going to be talking about taxes and how that angers us. And I think today I want to ask, I thought about it on the way over, I want to start this with a question for everybody. Do you think taxation is, whether or not it's okay, do you think it's automatically theft? Or is technically theft, let's say?
Good question.
Whether or not you're okay with it. I'm just wondering at the base level, do you think it's theft?
I never thought about it that way.
I don't think taxes are an unreasonable request. I think it's done unreasonably. But I don't think the government's saying hey, we'll do all this stuff. But you got to give us some money. You know what I mean? Like that. I feel like in a free market, that's how it should work, right? The people get their money not from the government, but the government needs money somehow, and people do theoretically anyway benefit from from taxes.
Right, so not theft. You wouldn't argue it's
So
theft.
I wouldn't argue it's theft.
I wouldn't argue it's theft, and I think if you look at our country and the way our country was established, taxes were for a purpose. The government was here to protect us, right? And they needed money to do that. They needed money to put an army together and certain other things. And I'm not a study on the Constitution, but I think from what I know, that's what certain taxes were established for. I think we're actually heading towards what our forefathers ran away from, because we're taxed continuously, and then they take from programs that they taxed us to collect money for our retirement, and they take from those programs, and I think we're heading down that path. Not exactly taxation without representation, but I think our representation doesn't take as much into account what we need as they should.
So I agree. I think it's a little bit of theft. Maybe not theft as much as to say it's theft, but a little maybe highway robbery type of deal.
I think they skin you.
They
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Like, and the reason I say that is I'm okay. As Matt said, I understand we need to pay taxes. Like, you can't run the country without that.
Right.
Cities, the states. But the amount they do for everything, and if you're going to take such a huge percent of my paycheck, and then you're going to tax me when I buy something, and then for everything, you buy a car, you pay taxes, but then you sell it, you pay the taxes again.
Yeah, everything is taxed three
right.
times.
So it's taxed.
So they're not double dipping, triple dipping.
Everything
right?
is taxed
Yeah,
three
they're
times.
just-
In that sense, it is robbery.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's where I feel it's a little bit of a robbery.
No, it's
frustrating.
a
And then
scam-ish.
right. And I know there's countries out there that have different tax ways they do it. Like, you have some countries that do like a 40% tax, 50% of your tax, but then that's
Like
it.
a flat rate.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
it. I think that would be a little bit better. I don't know. I haven't lived in that kind of society.
Yeah.
But and then also the amount of money you tax, like when you hit a different bracket, like kind of
Right.
throws me out.
Mhm.
I never seem to figure out how we're going to be ahead of the game. So
If they were taking taxes, right, and you were paying all these taxes, and it is double dipping. So I earned my money, I got taxed, right? I worked, I got taxed, and then I bought a loaf of bread and I paid tax. Well, maybe not bread. I bought something and I got taxed on that. Right?
Keto
Get
diet.
taxed on-
It's a
you don't
keto.
get-
He's on a
you don't get
keto
taxed on-
diet. He
You went
forgot
to
for a second.
You don't
Bread.
get taxed on
But-
food. It's like,
Bread.
it's like
yeah,
But if the money was going towards programs that you could rely on,
As it should, right?
right, as
Ideally.
it should, would
That's what it's
would
for.
it bother you as much? Like, it was actually,
well,
I think our taxes grew to a place.
what
where
you
they
were
shouldn't
saying
be.
about you think we're like going towards what the founding fathers were
Yeah.
run away from. I feel like maybe this is just like a young thing, but I feel like I have no idea exactly where the taxes are going. You know what I mean? Like that.
have an idea.
That to me is like the.
A couple.
well,
yeah.
I'm saying like I have.
Please share.
I think I know where it's going.
I have it like. It's
Mostly
to the thing
overseas,
where-
non-politically.
Yeah.
Whatever, send your
Not
money.
politically
It's our
speaking,
money.
A lot of money goes.
A lot,
Yeah,
of,
a lot of
money
it goes
That's what I'm
overseas,
saying. is that
regardless,
I
good or
feel like-
bad.
I feel like
Who's
and
got
the
you didn't bring
theory
your
of it.
laptop. We
The
should
what?
look up. Is it Paul?
Did you bring your laptop?
I have my laptop.
Who's the senator or congressman who every year puts out the list of things that are like, we did a study on like goose shit, right? For
Oh,
$1
like
million.
waste?
Yeah, what's
Like
his
government
name?
waste? I don't know. I didn't know about this.
I'll look him up. You guys carry on for a minute.
But
Let
yeah,
me see if I can
right.
find it, 'cause
Well,
there
yeah,
is a
so-
list.
anyway, my
there
point.
is a
My
list
point
of
being.
government
My
waste.
point being that I feel like the whole taxation without representation thing was that you wanted to know or be a part of the decision making and where the money was going. I don't feel at my age now like that's really a thing. You know what I mean? Like if money's
Yeah.
going overseas, it's going overseas, and I'm paying for it,
Yeah.
regardless of if I think it should. I'm not represented in that way, even if I'm voting for people to be represent me. I feel
But so
like
you're saying you disagree with the money being bent overseas
I'm saying
just
that
on the basis
I'm saying
of
that
you
let's say I
couldn't-
voted for a representative that
Right.
said they were going to use taxes for whatever, right? I think no
Mhm.
matter
I mean,
what,
that's what taxes are used for. It's
Right.
kind of hard to if you voted somebody into the Senate, it's unavoidable to get around spending bills.
But
Like they're going to be, they're going to be
Right,
voting
right.
I
for it.
don't know why there's not a bigger thing where we have control of how our money's spent.
well, that's
Like,
what I'm saying is that I feel like at this point it doesn't matter who I vote in because if we need to send money overseas, we need it, or if the military needs, they're going to take it. You know what I mean? It's
No,
not.
but it
Yeah, but
shouldn't
that's
be
sort
that.
of the-
That-
that's the-
that's
the-
exactly what
that's
it
where
wasn't
the
supposed
issue
to
and
be.
that's what I'm saying.
And
I'm
what it
agreeing
is
with you. Is that I'm saying
and
that I
again,
think we are going to that.
Not to get political, but it seems our government, the members of our government that we elect, enrich themselves, right,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
at the expense
That
of
is
our
part of it.
tax money
Yeah.
going to places that we don't necessarily agree with,
Yeah.
right? And in an amount that we don't necessarily agree with,
Mhm.
right? I mean, there are countries that need aid, and that's great.
Yeah, I'm all for
But sometimes
supporting.
the amount of money we send is mind-boggling.
Also, I mean, there's other places need aid for sure, but like so do we as a
Right.
country. There's
Yeah.
plenty of places
Right.
that money can be poured into
Yeah, no,
That
that's
needs
what I'm
it
saying. Like,
in America.
yeah,
Like we're not fully. If we were fully on our P's and Q's, everybody's doing well, no homeless, no poverty, and then we start sending trillions of dollars, I'd be like, whatever.
Right.
It helps. I mean, if I was completely, I got nothing to worry about. As far as when my kids go to school, things like that, tax things. All the roads are good, no
Right.
potholes,
Right.
things that taxes are supposed to solve here.
Right.
And then it was there's another $1 trillion going overseas, to some foreign, whatever war or
so
otherwise.
let's say those were good. Here's the list from Senator Rand Paul puts it out.
Yeah.
He calls it the Festivus report.
Festivus. Love it.
Nice.
This year's report, I guess that's $900 billion
Yeah, that number's too big
that
for
he
me.
that he
That's already
identifies
that's
as
a ton of
government
money.
waste.
To the
Some of the highlights include the National Institutes of Health spending a portion of $2.7 million grant to study Russian cats walking on a treadmill.
What?
And Barbie's
That must be
used as-
full on
research.
stealing money, right?
Wait.
These kinds of things,
And
these
Barbie's
programs.
used as proof of ID for receiving COVID paycheck protection program funds.
Michael, you're going to have to pause for a minute because I need more in depth on a cat on a treadmill. What's the science
I don't
for?
know. We'll have to look at
Gotta
it.
be space, something, right?
Why do
I
we
don't know.
spend
play-
so
Centrifugal
to
force.
play devil's advocate.
Gotta be.
To play
I don't
devil's
know.
advocate,
Yeah.
the United States practically invented the internet. Right? The
Yeah,
United
of
States
course.
government.
I mean, they
I'm
they
sure.
invent
I'm
everything.
sure they were doing some weird research, and they were putting some money into it. And like, if this list existed, like, just to play devil's, I'm not saying like cats running on a treadmill is actually anything. I'm just
That's a
saying like
stretch, man.
That-
there
I don't know
has
I'm
what,
gonna
been
call you on
things-
that one.
I don't
That's
know
a
what that
stretch.
one
Here's
does.
one.
there has been things to come out of weird research.
Here's one.
I'm-
paid
Nothing
for by
good.
the
Well, I'm
government.
looking
Nothing
forward
good.
to the
Those
cats on the
LSD
treadmill
projects?
research.
How
How
How's
about
about
that?
it?
All right, Matt, justify this one.
I'm not justifying. I'm just
The
playing devil's
United
advocate. I'm not
States
saying I agree. I'm just
Agency
saying.
for International Development spent $6 million to promote tourism in Egypt. Why?
Tourism in
Because
Egypt.
tourism in Egypt is huge.
But
You
not
get
for
ripped
us.
Off.
How
You
does
go to
that-
Egypt,
But not
they
for
just
us.
get-
How does that help us?
It might help our
You know,
relationship with Egypt.
I'm
something.
actually gonna help Matt on this one. I could see potentially. I don't know the ramifications of it. I don't know how. I'm sure we could look into the actual thing more, but it could be we might have as a country some deals in Egypt,
Yeah.
and that helps us. Them prospering helps us prosper.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
There's an
It's
argument to be
it's
made there.
scratch your
As-
back-
I,
scratch your
for
back, we'll
for
scratch
a
yours,
government
yeah, yeah.
project, the price of it I can disagree with all day because it
Oh,
seems
well,
like
of course.
it seems like
Of
that's
course,
too
yeah,
much.
yeah.
No, but the
Well-
point that you guys were making earlier was that
We don't know.
we need to know what
Oh,
this money
yes,
is being
right,
used
right,
for before it's used.
And
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So
We don't.
Egypt, coincidentally, is that the guy from New Jersey who's now under indictment.
Again, I don't know.
I think he was connected with Egypt, believe it or not. And
Mm.
he's the one who they found the gold bars in his
Oh,
jacket in the thing, right?
I don't
And-
remember
and,
this.
and he was like,
I gotta watch more news, I guess.
I gotta look that.
But
Yeah,
wait,
you guys do need to
also,
watch more
I
news.
mean,
I guess
I
so.
kind of got
You guys
overwhelmed.
live under a
yeah,
rock.
news is always negative.
Yeah, it's
I
just
can't
too
watch it. Like
I did for a while.
I
but
do
it's-
like
I
watching
zoned
cat
out.
videos on the news.
That's why they're
Although,
running on
That's why
treadmills.
they're running treadmills. There you go. There's the
They're just-
connection.
it's probably a bunch
the
of different
connection.
like TikTok accounts
Absolutely.
or something. It's just a farm.
But I do, going back to what you're saying, again, it's not about spending. If it's for tourism and it benefits us in a certain way, then it's great.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how Egypt.
as
goes
Michael
benefits
said
us.
before, fix your own before you're fixing everybody
Right.
else. I get really bothered, but I try not to get involved with all this stuff that's going on. Like, although I'm angry about it all. But one thing that hits hard to me, and I'm not a veteran, I've never served. I have so much respect for those people, and it really, really upsets me when they come home and they don't have
They have
anything.
don't have
nothing,
They've
yeah.
lost their family. They've experienced heartache and
And the
death
military is the
and-
biggest part of our budget.
right. And they come home and they're riddled with like pain and hurt and suffering, and there's nothing for them, or they're homeless, or they're addicted to drugs, and like, why are we not like? Why is that like?
We don't.
That
ta-
should be our.
we don't take care of
Right.
our own anymore.
Yeah.
That should be
Taxes
$6 billion,
don't go to-
not
To
the
me,
cat and not
I
Egypt.
think that's
you know?
I think that's the
To
biggest
me-
the biggest problem.
Right.
This might be like controversial, but for a couple of years I've been thinking like, I feel like the United States is very obsessed with the idea of being a superpower,
Yes, they absolutely are.
and they just won't let it go.
Yeah.
For
Ah,
5 minutes.
But you gotta
but
be.
Matt,
Like
Matt,
you
just
gotta
to,
keep that.
you know what I
Matt,
mean? Like building
got it.
But you
relationships in
need that.
Egypt, right?
It doesn't make-
Fine,
that
because
doesn't
you want to
make
be a
us a superpower.
superpower. Yeah, it's having that huge, money's going into foreign affairs and the military is what,
Yeah.
and I feel
We
like
spend a lot of money
I
on our
feel like
military to
we-
look bigger than we
right,
really are.
and it's just
to be the
because they
I don't know,
want
it's a big military.
they want to be
It
the
is.
superpower.
I think it's about as big as it's paid for to be. It is massive.
Yeah,
Right,
it's a
right.
massive
right, but it
military.
Right,
doesn't
right.
have to.
But
be.
it does. I agree with
is
Matt.
the
I don't think
idea.
it has to.
Like,
be.
more money can
but
go
if
to
that's
the
the first place
veterans.
you're gonna look, Matt,
Yeah, I'm not even mad.
before you go through the list.
Oh,
Of,
no,
of
no.
the cats running on
Well,
a
yeah,
treadmill.
of course.
This is $900 billion
Yeah.
now.
But the military is also $900 billion.
Okay, but this
Way
is
more.
$900 billion that are going on programs
For something
dumb
Right.
things.
that we don't even understand.
Even
that-
understand.
So what's some more of those
Right.
things, Mike?
But I would argue we don't understand where all the military. But like, yeah, all right, fine, soldier weapons stuff. all right,
I
fine.
think we
yeah,
s-
you
I
could
don't
say
know.
that. But we're
Probably
buying
a lot of
we're
R&D.
buying the weapons.
Tons of R&D,
Yeah.
I bet.
We're buying the weapons from ourselves.
No, the military-industrial complex.
Like
Obviously,
we are
there's
making,
issues with that.
Right, we're making the weapons, buying them for ourselves,
I think there's waste in
and
we're gonna here Lockheed Martin, here's $1 billion to make a plane, right?
Yeah.
Like that
Right.
that there's waste there and there's greed and corruption there. But
right.
I don't think that the military itself isn't a tax waste.
No.
it's
I
not
don't
a
think
tax.
the military itself is a tax
You know what I
base
mean?
either.
No,
think,
I just mean that thing for us provides something. Whether or not it's,
Right.
it's actual like a physical power in the world, which
right,
is
right.
hopefully there is no World War III, but if there is, I'm going to be very glad that I live in America for
right,
it.
Right.
No,
That, but then also it keeps a sort of the superpower thing, which you can argue we have to, it's not right to be in all these parts of the world and whatnot, but to be an American and have that is
Right.
nice, just to reach,
Well, my
any
point,
embassy.
My point is just that if they stop with the their goal is to be like the superpower and have everything,
I'm with
then we could take care of ourselves a little
I'm with
bit
both
more.
of you. Like
Yeah.
I agree. Like we should have a great military. Like we have to protect our
Right.
country.
Yeah,
You know?
of course.
But as Matt's saying,
that is our
how
government's
much-
primary function.
right.
Is to protect.
but
the
how
country.
much
Right, of
money
course.
is too much money for the military,
But you,
right?
but you could look at that too. You could look at the military budget and say there are places we could cut that.
I just wouldn't start there.
The fact that the United States, is a superpower,
Right.
right, and
only
wants to
one.
maintain that, I'm all for it.
Okay.
I 100%
Yeah, I'm good
vote
with
on
that
that every
too.
time,
Yeah.
right? And yes, you could look at the military spending and say maybe it's too much at some point, right? But all the other taxes, where's that money going? Right? Like, what did they do with Social Security? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't call Social Security
Well, they spend
tax,
out
right?
of it,
They
right? I mean, it's
They
a
call it
pool of
Social
money.
Security,
And
well,
then they spend out of
did.
it.
They
Right.
dipped into it now.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't have, right? And now
I
they're
would
saying,
say no.
oh, it's going to run out.
Yeah, I can't believe you could even.
So that's where the anger comes from. Like that, you're taking this money for a purpose,
Right.
and they're not using it for that.
And then
purpose.
not using it for the purpose.
then
That's
you don't
and we
that's
have
where
no
the
say.
anger is.
Like we can't really.
Like you could look at the military's budget and say, okay, we know.
Yeah, you can
spend
cut
it on
things,
for
this,
sure.
and you're okay, and you could cut there too, but it's just you're just taking too much, right? You're
Right.
taking too much because you've built up this thing where you have to. Study cats. There was another study in there. They were studying Labrador retrievers.
Oh, they're
and,
cute though.
and how they overheat because of their fur color.
Wait,
Now,
what?
I don't know how long Labrador retrievers have been around as a breed,
Yeah.
and they probably
It's-
took care of themselves pretty well
Still pretty
on
it's
their
odd.
own.
Wait,
Yeah,
they're studying their fur color.
because when they walk out in the streets, they get hot. So I don't know what the
Camouflage
you know,
or something.
I'm
What do you
thinking
think?
how that's related to
Yeah,
military.
I
I
don't
can
know.
see
Well,
it's
I'm
all
sure
right.
that's
a military
military
thing. Yeah, I'm
thing.
sure that's a military.
They're going to
thing.
use
No?
their
yeah,
fur
it's
and
for
skin.
it's for
I'm
warming.
gonna
That
tell
sounds
you,
like
know,
it.
100%.
you know who
Yeah.
was studying it?
Russia.
The USDA.
Okay.
That's the people
Well,
that
they all
control our
got-
food supply.
yeah, but I think
Well, they have to
they're all-
shadow it.
But
They're
they're
all-
all yeah.
yeah, they're all
That's
connected.
probably
mixed together
Yeah.
at the top. I don't.
fur camouflage.
Give me a
camouflage
couple-
Yeah, right.
is coming
USDA's looking into it.
Give me
and
a
then all of
couple more.
sudden-
soon. Yeah.
Another tax that I really, really, really do not like is property taxes. I am shocked how you have to pay for something you bought for so long. You know, you're paying on it forever. But the few things that I have a question with is, it always raises. So if you bought a house and they say, all right, your property tax are $1,000, and you're paying that for the life of your mortgage, maybe I can understand that. But it goes up every year, and it makes no sense. But then it never stops. So for these people who retire and have a fixed income, their property taxes are eventually going to catch up with that small income you have. And if you don't pay it, they can take it away from you at the price of what it is. Like, that's upsetting.
I start vandalizing stuff.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think
lower the property tax in your neighborhood.
I gotta include that,
Right? I mean, that's
I gotta include that in my reverse pension plan that I had. Right?
I don't think like if we just had property taxes, I think you put up with it. It's the over and over again. Your income is taxed. Everything you buy is taxed. Your property, you know what I mean? Like not everything has to be taxed.
No,
in other words,
absolutely
You
not.
know, if you're driving to Manhattan, you get taxed. If you know what I mean, like everything.
And
is a
that goes
tax,
back on
and
what
that
we were
is
saying
insane.
in another episode with tolls. The reason for car registrations inspections was supposed to
for
help
tolls.
tax the roads and all the toll, but then you get taxed. Now you have tolls, and so it's never ending. They
never
find another little
Well, that's what I
loophole
said, you know, it
to
goes,
add it.
It goes back to our representatives, man, who
Yeah.
continually find programs that
And
they
at-
need to fund.
At one point, I think
At
we're
our
spending
expense.
nearly as much on taxes as we are on anything else.
I don't want to be too cynical about this, but do you think it's even possible at this point to elect people who will unravel sort of the
No,
whole
we're
tax?
back. We're back to revolution.
I feel like the reason we can't is even the best of person that walks in there ends up getting corrupt by what they see that's great, you know? Because my thing is, like, through all of life, like, the younger crew is always want to change things, right? They're always the best, right? They want to change. But then you've had young people in politics. Why aren't they changing? To me, it's like, oh, this is what it's like. I can take this. I can get that. I'm going to do this too.
Well,
so
okay, so
No.
we could do another show on this, but what fixes that? Term limits.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can't
2 years.
have have people in office, and forget the Supreme Court. Don't talk to me about the Supreme Court. They're fine. That don't bother me.
I don't believe that.
Senators and congressmen should not be in office for 40,
Yeah, no,
50,
yeah,
60
I agree with
years.
that.
Oh,
I agree
hell
with that.
no.
Definitely, yeah,
No,
yeah. Of course. Need term
that's a
limits.
recipe for
That's why they exist. They
for
exist to
corruption.
avoid the corruption.
It's a recipe
and yet
for
we
corruption.
didn't put them everywhere.
And of course, when the young people come in, they're gung ho. They come in, they want to do something, but naturally they're going to be.
But I'm wondering. I don't know enough about this. I mean, none of us are politicians or really in politics in that way. I just mean even not. Okay, so there's definitely corruption, right? You have a young, like, idealistic politician. I can imagine they
right.
go in, they're like, I want to change things, and first day they get there's some old senator like, we don't do that here. Sit down, shut up. You know, and then 8 months later, they're like, where'd this $2 million come from? Somebody just bought me a house. You know, and they're like, just keep voting how you vote. You know, like things like that. I'm sure that happens at every level. I'm obviously there are people who don't do it, who don't, you know, submit to it. No, my question would be, my question was about taxes being unavoidable is I wonder, so the tax code for us is incredibly complex, right?
Yeah.
That in itself is hard to unravel.
Right.
And then I wonder, I don't know, I feel like the government is a lot of, on purpose, they will have a thing, when they write a bill, right? It's 1,000 pages and it's confusing on purpose, so
Right.
people can't get through
So
it.
you can't,
I don't know how it works about sending money to places. If it's really just a guy going, a senator on a bill writing, I want to send it here, or I'm imagining there's a process for that. I'm wondering if it's even too complicated to unravel that. How taxes are allotted? Can you just? Can I be a senator and write a bill and just say I want to give $10 million to the homeless in New York? Could you know what I mean?
Yes, you
I don't
can.
know.
But what happens is they'll attach that to something else, right? Like whenever they do these spending bills, they'll take some of those other ones and attach it, because the people that really want their programs, right, are willing to tag those things along.
So I'll
to get what they want. So
I'll
to
give
get
you
your
what you
vote,
want
right.
if you give me what I want.
So can it be
Right.
unraveled? Yes. The term limits would definitely help.
Is it
with
that
the
easy though?
situation.
Is it really?
I don't
that
think
makes
it's
it
just
painful
I think it
to
is.
me.
I
It's
think
the
it
rub
is
your
that easy.
it's the
That's
rub your back
painful.
theory.
That's painful, man.
Yeah.
No, because
Yeah.
I get that, but I imagine
All
if I
these
got
bills
in,
should be
I could
separate
just write a
bills.
bill that says 10 million, 10 million, 10 million, like whatever, school, this school,
Right,
this
right,
school,
right.
The children,
this group. It's so weird that it could be that easy.
the children
think
in
it
our
is.
That's what
government- the children
bothers
in our
me.
government spend so
Children?
much time bickering with each other. Yes,
That's what he's calling the politicians.
the children.
It's a great word for
the
them.
children
List just
on
came out.
Capitol Hill spend all their time bickering with each other, when all these bills should be separately voted on.
Should they?
Right?
It shouldn't.
And that's it. It's either up or down, and it's not. I'm going to tag it along with this one because I know you want the money for Ukraine, So I'm going to put the $10 million in there that Michael needs because I need his vote. So I'm going to put the $10 million there, even though it's a wasteful program for us.
Right.
But who cares? The taxpayers will just pay it.
That's the thing.
It is, my opinion, it is unwindable easily, right? Our government is structured in such a way.
It feels like it should be sometimes easier, and
Yes.
that's really what bugs me when I'm
but
watching
we
it. I'm
allow
like,
these people to
what are
stay
we
in
doing?
30,
But
40,
I don't know.
50 years in office.
I don't know if term limits just fixes it.
Well, it's
It
not.
helps
It's
a
not
lot.
the only
It will help.
solution.
It'll help.
It
No,
can't do
no
any
doubt.
bad.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
Because
no
in
doubt.
4 years, man,
That's why
they don't
exist.
have the time.
That's why
you know.
term limits exist for
Yeah.
sure. That's why they.
But they
That's why
also
we
have
have
to,
them
like
for
I
the
said,
president.
They got to fix these
right?
the way they vote on these bills too.
But
The
Michael,
whole idea is that if you can't keep the position forever, you're
Right.
less likely to become corrupt.
I have a question on the
That's
term
what they
limit thing.
exist.
Then can you stay within the political world? Because I feel like wherever you are in politics, you still have that hand. So is it like whatever the term limit is, you're out and you gotta get
Well,
a normal job like
there-
the rest of
there
the
is-
world?
They're
again,
never doing that.
That's
Yeah,
what
they
I'm
would
saying.
just
we-
go,
we should
oh,
study
I'll be
more
a state
politics,
senator.
but there-
Yeah, we'd have to.
But there was a
for that- this
proposal
kind of
out
stuff.
there, not only term limits, but when you're done being a senator or congressman, you cannot become a lobbyist
Right.
for like 10 years or something.
Exactly.
You know, because that
Because then
keeps you out of the
right.
loop. Like again, you know, anytime you break the chain, right, of custody on something, that chain of custody is not the right thing to say, but you know, like the bank had a 2-week vacation rule, right? That goes back to when banks were, you know, on paper and pen. It was their way of finding any fraud that was going on with a person, fraud, corruption, whatever you want to call it. So if somebody was fixing the books, all of a sudden the books would go back in line for those 2 weeks, and the auditors would pick up on it, right?
Mhm.
So you know, like there was a guy who was taking just pennies a day. He ran multiple
I
accounts.
remember.
He was taking pennies a day for
What?
a year, but then he goes on vacation, and the pennies
Stop.
weren't being shorted out of the account all of a sudden for 2 weeks. So you look into it and you find out, oh, look at this. This guy's been shorting the pennies on 100 accounts every day for a year, right, until his vacation. Well, I mean,
What?
that's a vague example. I didn't give you all the details on it, but breaking that up is how you,
Yeah.
you know.
You know,
Right.
that. Yeah, right. I agree. Sorry, I was just thinking of going back. I asked the question at the beginning. I just feel like we're at a good point to talk about it now. Is taxation theft? Right. I said that for two reasons. One, I think, and I don't want. I mean, it's a group. It's not really a organization. It's just an idea. But like libertarians, I believe that's generally there. Just like to be taxed is theft because you're taking my earnings.
Right.
I don't think of it like that, but I do. I disagree with that aspect. The idea that just taxation is theft, but it brings an interesting question once you start thinking about what are taxes, right? I would say it's an agreement. I'm paying them. I am forced, but I am willingly paying them every
Right,
year.
for some
and as I go
service.
in life, right? For a thing.
Right.
If I'm not, and I feel like we've all said we're not getting the thing we thought we're paying
100%.
for, is it now?
Yes.
Would that be theft?
That's theft.
Because
That's
that
why-
feels like theft.
And that's why I
It-
said
Acted
in
as
the-
it stands, I
Right.
feel like it is a bit. They're kind of stealing.
right. And that's 100% what I feel. That's
Yeah.
what I said. I
Because
think so.
normally,
If
yeah,
You're not
as-
giving me anything for my money.
If I'm
Right.
getting what I'm expecting, that's good. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you think it? Obviously, we all kind of agreed, I guess, except for Johnny in the beginning, that it just isn't generically theft. But you think the idea that since we're not getting it, I'll like start with Mike. What do you think?
In the beginning, I said it wasn't theft, but I changed my mind.
Yes.
I mean, if you know, like, man, if somebody, again, let's go back to the cat thing. It's just an easy one to pick off, the cat on the treadmill. And Matt, you said maybe something, they used it for something, they found
I
something.
was defending it, just like devil's
But-
advocate, just to say.
It was Russian cats, I think. too,
Yeah, it
right?
was Russian. It was pretty weird.
mean-
It is definitely weird.
But I
I don't
mean,
know what they're
if-
They
going
sent a
for.
dog to space. Maybe they're going again.
The
waste of
representative
money.
from New York,
Yeah.
right? You know, if the representative from New York, you know, went to his constituents and said, his or her constituents, whoever it was, and said, you know, we want to give money to this program that, you know, looks at cats on treadmills for the purpose of X, probably most people would say no. Right?
Right.
Right or wrong. And I get it, Matt. There's got to be research
no,
out there.
I also
But a lot of that research has to be publicly
I
funded
also
too,
would have
right?
said no
Yeah.
to that, for the record. I was just saying.
And you
that
have a cat. You love
just in
cats.
general. Yeah, no, I was just saying in general. You know, sometimes it sounds weird, but it ends up being something.
Yeah. So in this,
I wouldn't
also-
have voted for that either. I'm
but at
just
least you
saying,
would
like-
know it was being
Right?
done.
No. Yeah.
That's the
That's
important
what
part of
the
it.
representation is.
Like, why
important.
isn't this being publicly said? Hey, this is where the money's being
So I
spent.
think
Sorry.
This is theft.
So
And
I feel like it's
definitely
theft.
theft,
Hide
Mike,
it.
when they take money out of another program to pay for something else.
Oh yeah.
That should be
Right.
illegal.
That should be.
That
I don't
should
even
be
any
like Social
program.
Security. That's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
that is just like It's against the whole program.
because
that was
wait,
the whole idea.
But
Was
isn't that the same thing? Like, wasn't the lottery started to help pay for all the schooling?
Yes.
Like it was supposed to go.
Correct.
But now that doesn't do that.
And those things are $1 billion
Right.
every time.
Like
they
you
go.
think of
Yeah.
So where does that money
like
go?
the
I
only
think those are fake now, by the way.
the only
The
person.
Powerball.
Like to throw that in.
I think it's fake too.
so.
But
It's
before
fixed.
you
I
get
think
in,
it got too high.
is
I think
fixed.
I think it used to be real. I think the money now, because now it's every
It's
time.
always
it's always
billion.
Half a
California,
billion or
Yeah.
and it's always in
half-
California.
Sometimes it gets up to $1 billion, right? Not even
Yeah,
half a
no,
billion.
Oh,
That's
it's
like the
it's
lowest.
been
Quite a
over $1
billion.
billion.
Over
a
$1 billion
Bunch of-
always. And I feel like I haven't seen anybody say it. You can hide yourself, hide your identity when you win.
You get taxed
So
on that
certain
too.
states
You
don't.
do get taxed.
But
on
still,
that.
I think
big time.
it just seems like it's too much all of a sudden, and that it's
Yeah.
Wait,
I
How
don't know,
many
and it's
people are
and it's
really
been I
playing
feel like it's
the
been
pl-
one
the
person a
Powerball?
lot of the last couple times.
it's
It
always
just
in
gives me
California.
bad vibes.
But wait, the fact that you said you get taxed, which we all know, but that's another weird thing. If you take it lump sum, you get taxed more because they can't get their interest out of
Right. The money that's sitting
reinvest
there,
in their
exactly.
money. Like that should be illegal too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said the lottery is another thing. Misusing the funds.
You know
It was
what,
used for some, and the only people that win the lottery is the government
The most
because they win every
Well,
time.
they win a
Yeah.
bunch of money.
They win it
and no
every time.
downside,
Yeah,
and they
tons
just
of
win
time.
money.
And
they
they
just
just-
every
yeah.
time for no reason.
Just for
They
people
get it.
gambling, like just because.
Yeah.
Just get it.
One of the most unfair taxes that I can think of is the
What is?
inheritance tax.
Is that
oh
new,
my
though?
God, Jess.
That's
no,
always been a
No,
thing?
That's always been a
you,
thing.
You work your whole life. You
So wrong.
Collect what you collect. You're paying taxes on everything, like we talked about, on your earnings, on everything you buy. Well, you bought the house, you pay
Yep.
taxes.
All yours. It's all yours.
It should be all yours. It should be all yours to
It's
hand
yours.
off.
Yeah.
There should be everything's been taxed already.
It's been
Right.
If I want to hand it off to my kids, they should not get taxed. on
right,
it.
and it's a big tax.
It's a big tax.
It's what is it?
It's a
Like,
ridiculous.
I think it's like
Oh, that's why they
30%
hide it in
or something.
trusts and funds. That's why that all exists, right? Because
Well, that's why
there's
some
different
like
rules.
you
That's why
Right.
trust
Yeah.
funds.
Yeah,
Or
Are
you
a thing,
can,
right?
or you
That's-
can,
but
yeah.
your properties you can't hide. Like money, you can do that.
I think no, I
right?
Yeah,
think
no,
the
I'm
one
just
with
wondering.
the
I didn't
But the
know.
property,
Yeah.
like you own a
Mm-hmm.
house. Like I have a modest house. If I'm not gonna die. I hope. If I when I
Never?
die, eventually,
We'll see. We got a couple years.
not right away.
a couple at least.
So,
I mean, for like technology. You know.
but I mean,
Yeah.
my kids shouldn't be taxed.
No.
on my
No,
modest
no, definitely
house,
not.
man.
That- it's
like,
yours.
You know,
And it's also
Especially if you own it.
It also comes to the point where like
even if you're paying a mortgage, you still shouldn't.
Yeah, I just mean,
you were-
especially if you own it.
you were
You're already,
interested-
Oh, yeah.
it's just my house.
you were
Right.
interestingly going from the position of you to your kids because you have kids obviously.
Right.
But to me, it's also like I didn't choose for you to die. I'm sad about it, like I'm torn up, like, let's say my father died, whatever, and now I have this huge bill or else I lose my childhood home. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a lot of people have to
crazy,
do that.
right?
Right.
Like that's
So-
like now I'm dealing with this loss. Now he leaves me this house or whatever, and now I don't have a
Well,
choice.
let me put
My
you-
choices are lose my childhood
no, I'll
home.
put your mind at ease. You don't have to pay the tax until you sell the house.
Oh, so you could keep it.
I believe that's the way
So
it
you
works.
can
Yeah,
keep
because
it.
you didn't
Is
realize
that?
you didn't realize your earnings yet.
That makes sense.
I don't
Yeah,
think you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
pay the
Well, I
tax.
thought they would consider it realized when it's given to you.
Yeah, that's
I
what
thought- I thought it was
It's
treated
not-
as
it's
a
not
sale.
It's
Right.
not realized cash.
That's what I
like-
thought
No,
as
but
well.
I-
Oh, you
That's
should-
what I thought as
let's
well.
look
I
that
didn't know
up.
that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
I'm
look that up. I feel
I
like
get that makes sense because if they're just like here, pay us, 50,000. Like I don't just have that lying around. I just
no.
Right.
like the house got passed to me. I'm
It
not gonna
is-
take a loan out
it
against
is-
it.
But what if you didn't sell the house then? They don't ever get their tax.
So you don't.
no,
yeah, it's never
the
realized.
government's not going to be that generous.
That's.
I don't think so.
I
but
feel
I don't
like-
know.
I feel
I don't know how
like
this
that's
works.
fine to a degree.
no, it's not.
I don't like it. I don't like inheritance
I don't
tax.
like inheritance tax in general.
No.
It's fine. It's better than what I thought because, like I was saying, like that's crazy to me that like you either have to sell the house or pay a bunch of taxes. If it only happens when you sell it, that's weird to me only because selling a house is already like a huge money process. You know what I mean? Like why throw in another 30%? And now this value, right, of the house that a lot of people put money, especially in the middle class, they put money into their houses so that their children can inherit it. Maybe one day sell it and make some money. Now, if you have to pay something on top of
at the sale.
selling the house, right? So you're hoping that your house goes up in value. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. We live in New York. It generally trends upward, right? But you're now have to think when you're leaving it to your kid, like, all right, well now it's 30% of the house's value is not going to be
So
there.
this is why I don't know if that's the way.
I think
it
they
is
just got their hand in the cookie jar.
because if you
Yeah.
sell your house, whether it's yours or your family, you still have to pay tax.
There is tax already.
There's already
and then they
tax.
would-
So
inheritance
so,
tax, yeah.
Right. So the inheritance tax has to be slightly, and hopefully Michael figures it out first. Because if it's at the point when you sell it,
Mhm.
If you inherit and then you sell it, that's the same thing if I had it and sold it anyway. So there's no benefit.
Well, no,
for
it's
the
an
government.
But it's
tax.
an added tax.
Oh,
That's
so-
what I'm saying.
He's
Oh.
saying
You
you sell
lose
the
the
house.
value of
so
the house.
when you sell the house, you get taxed
Oh,
at
I
whatever,
didn't
let's say
pick that up
20%.
on
You
it.
get taxed.
Yeah.
So you're
Then the
paying
inheritance
the-
tax is 10%. So now
If
your
it
your
does
total
work
rate
that
as
way.
the inheritee is
Oh,
30%.
Okay,
I don't know.
insane.
The way you were
This is, I
describing
believe,
it
how it's
second,
explained to
you
me.
pay just taxes, which
No,
you would
no,
pay.
you
that-
pay
okay,
an
so you're
inheritance
paying a
tax on
sale
top,
tax
and
and then
now-
an inherit. That's
That's what
messed
I'm
up.
saying. So that's why I said that it's already a huge money process
Government,
to
shame
to
on
sell a
you.
house. You're already
Shame.
paying a high amount of taxes to sell a house anyway.
Naturally, it's
and
very
now-
complex.
Of
I'm
course,
gonna have
that's
to lean
yeah.
into it a little bit.
That's what they
that
do.
goes
You
back to what he was saying
There's
earlier.
inheritance
do it on
taxes.
purpose.
There's estate taxes.
Estate tax is
and
crazy,
then
yeah,
there's the
same
capital
thing.
gains tax
Right.
also,
Right.
which
Well,
is definitely a realized one. you
That's
know.
realized for
That's
sure.
realized. Yeah. Mike said something speaking on it being
The
confusing.
point is, they're going to take it at some point from you, right?
Mike, yeah.
3 times.
In Matt's
3 times.
scenario,
They'll
time.
keep taking it from
in
you.
Matt's
many
scenario,
times
he's
as
going to have to be
possible.
homeless. No, it's not. You would have to either if you had to come up with the money up front, right?
Right.
As the
You couldn't.
inheritance tax, and you couldn't do it, you'd have to sell the house.
It's insane.
And
then
then
you're
you're
gonna
losing all that money.
get
That's
hit
why
with the
they do
tax and the capital gain, and you're gonna have
Yeah.
to buy yourself a refrigerator.
Crazy.
That's why they do
And
it.
live in the
I
box.
think they do it so they can foreclose on everybody's house, sell it to
100%. 100%.
sell it to what are those groups? What's that big one? BlackRock.
Mike made a good point over the summer. We were talking, and it's you doing your taxes is really weird.
Yeah.
Because they know how
That
much you owe. They
is
know
so
how much
true.
you owe. But
Just
they
tell
want
me.
you to tell them how
They
much
want you to
and then
mess
if
up.
you're
So you can
wrong-
make a They want you to
and if
mess
you're
up.
You can make a
wrong,
mistake
they
They
get
know
in
to the
trouble.
penny.
Yeah.
And they don't tell me.
They
It's a
don't tell you.
surprise.
It's
Yeah, they-
insane.
What is that? They know exactly how
you
much
owe.
we owe, but I got to do it myself for
They
some
want
reason.
you to mess up so
Weird.
you can pay them fines and
Weird.
penalties. 100%.
That's just such.
100%.
I know that's the truth. Like I know that's why, right? But my question would be, everybody knows this. Everybody every year has to do taxes. They all know they have a bill somewhere floating out there
Right.
in the government space,
Right.
and nobody's mad about just send it to us. Like, how is that not a thing that's fixable tomorrow? That everybody can just be like, hey, you know how much I'm tired of doing.
They
this.
know. They know exactly to the penny, but they don't
Well,
want to make
let
it
me-
easy.
let me ask
That's
They want to make
so-
our life torturous.
But there must be. They must have at some point given an explanation as to why they
Well,
don't
I'm sure it used
give
to
you
be,
the bill.
I'm sure
There
it used
must
to be difficult.
Maybe they
like
want to
right
give
now,
accountants
right
money.
now, you can send a letter. Like you can get the number, print it on a sheet, send it out like that, right? Because we have computers. And stuff.
What are you talking
I'm
about?
sure at a certain point it was pretty hard to mail. You know what I mean? To mail to
Yeah.
everybody.
No, but I
You
think
wanted
what
it-
Mike is saying.
I'm
when
saying
you- when-
he's saying he
right.
thinks there was a reason. I'm saying I
No.
think that's the reason. It used to
hold
be
on.
hard.
No, but it was
right?
never
To, like,
hard. You go back to the beginning of time, and they knew how the dinosaurs and cavemen when they were paying taxes. You
Right.
knew how much a person made, the percentage of tax, and they knew all the differences of changing that tax. If you had a wife, if you had a kid, if you had this, and where you live. So they knew exactly what they wanted from you by the end of the year out of your paycheck.
Right, right.
Just take it, and we're done. That's it. I mean,
Right.
I don't want you
No.
to take it
Well,
at all.
let me ask
but
you-
in
there
the
is a- there is a
simplest
reason.
term,
Go
I
first.
think there
I
is a
don't know.
reason.
I don't think so.
Right? No, wait. I don't have a very complex tax return.
Mm.
Right? So maybe, arguably, they know everything I have. But when you get into people that have other things going on, right? The government doesn't know. They need that reported to them, right? Funds held elsewhere, foreign funds you might hold, different type of assets that they have to tax you on.
Yeah, but that's how you get out of taxes anyway, right? Like, what are
No,
they?
I'm not
Yeah.
saying that. I'm saying there probably is a reason. Like maybe not for people that have a simple tax return. You're probably right.
But what do you think the majority
It's my
is?
salary. It's what you withheld,
Right.
right? And do I have kids or not or whatever, right? That's pretty much it, right? But if it's a complex tax return, there probably is a reason to file that, right?
But-
That's why these accounts get paid so much
But
money
again,
to do that.
well, like, what do you think the majority is? And that everybody has to do it for a group? Because to me, I feel like the minority of people have those complex.
I don't know. Listen,
tax-
I-
like,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
very few
Like, I feel like
relative to the size of the
majority of
country.
Everything, in
people-
my opinion, can be simplified
And
and should be simplified,
I'd hope.
right? To the
Right.
best that you can, right, Matt? So to your point, if you're just a kid that works, right, and goes to school, it
Yeah.
should be very easy, and they should
Right.
know at the end of the year because you filed your FAFSA, you filed it, right? They know
Right,
everything
right.
that you're getting and everything you're not getting.
But this goes back
Right.
to the original whole thing of this is we have taxed way too much in way too many
Well,
areas that they need to get
to that-
reported about all this stuff.
To
Because,
that,
just-
let me
I
ask
just
you.
wanna
because you're just
throw
saying
out
it's
there-
more complex.
I wanna
And I'm a very
ask-
big fan of the IRS, and I love them, and you guys could keep.
I want to.
and you guys could just keep talking.
Or my
about taxes.
IRS T-shirt
Well,
next time.
What's funny is any episode we've done, he at some point loves the topic he's angry
Yeah.
about. He's so afraid
When a
of the
powerful group,
backlash.
when a powerful group comes up, he's like,
He's
you know, what?
so-
I actually love these guys.
He's like so
They're
afraid of the
misunderstood.
outcast. Yeah.
Love the IRS.
Like, and then they're gonna ask you then why you're on the show and what's your lie gonna be
You
then.
could stop here and get donuts on the way to Johnny's house.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask you guys to that, right? Like that
To what? Please
everything
remind
can be
us.
simplified.
Okay.
I think
Right.
so.
To that as a possible solution. Not that I don't know how functional this is. I haven't thought that far into it. But what do you think about just businesses being taxed? So like if they're paying you, right? The business pays you. They withhold what you would pay in income tax, and then they pay a huge tax. You know, you know what I mean? So they pay their business tax and the salary.
So is it
and
the same thing?
income
You
tax.
just don't want to see it come out of your paycheck because you would get paid less in that
right,
situation.
but you wouldn't have to file taxes at all. Only your company.
But
is
then
not
go
like that.
but then go back
You
to
know
what
I mean?
Michael
I'm just asking.
just
just
feels-
to,
I just
throw
don't
it
like
out
it
there,
'cause
just to throw it out there.
Anything that's going behind my back now.
Yeah.
My
So you don't want
job,
to file
my
your
job
taxes.
that I don't really trust is talking to the government that I don't really trust about how much money they're taking from me.
So you want to.
I want to at least see some
So
of it.
you don't want to
know?
file your taxes, but you do also want to see the number.
I
that
want
you
the
owe.
government to send me an
Just give you
itemized
the-
bill
right,
that
right.
says
Just
you
tell
did this.
Right,
this
right,
is your job. This is how much you get paid. I can say yes or no.
Sure.
They're gonna send me this is whatever you
So
have in.
Are you gonna review the bill and possibly dispute it?
You should be allowed to.
Yeah, but I'm
Then
not
you might
doing
as
it.
well just
But
do it
isn't that
yourself.
easier than doing it myself?
I
But I don't
probably
even. I don't
wouldn't
do
review
my own
them.
taxes,
I
right?
probably
Like I would
wouldn't review them.
outsource it.
All right.
I'm saying if they sent me a bill, you said it can be simple, right? I imagine
No,
what
it
they're
could be
doing is
simple.
saying
It
you
could
make
be
this much money and you get taxed at this percentage. You have these holdings, you get taxed at this percentage.
Right.
That's about it. I don't own a lot of stuff.
Right.
If that's it, that's an itemized bill from
No,
them. I
yours-
can easily
yours
say,
is
okay,
simple.
yeah,
Like,
Right.
you know,
they sent me. I make this amount of money, and I do
I
own
don't
these
think-
stocks
I
or
don't
whatever,
think
and
that
I'm
whole
taxed
tax
at
thing
whatever
is
and
there.
whatever. That's
Right.
fine.
It's a whole.
I could dispute
industry,
it.
right? 'Cause
We'll never
you
change
probably
that.
well, if you were getting your taxes done by somebody, it probably cost you $200,
It does.
right? For them to put
Yeah.
take the information from your W-9,
Two.
W2.
and put it into the system that calculates that for
Right.
you, right? So there's a whole industry out there, and like I said, I think for the complex ones you need it, right? I'd want if I had a complex thing, if I had investments all over the place,
I don't know, Michael.
I would want.
I have money
I-
in else
listen,
places.
I don't-
I get that little letter from all these institutions.
Yeah, but then the
after
government would
January.
have to compile that. You want another branch of government now, a whole
No.
branch.
But
But
of
I could
government
tell them they're right or wrong.
compiling
Send me
all
a
that
bill
stuff?
though.
Right, I
But
kind
if they have something, if they send me, hey, you own this, and I don't own that thing,
right.
I'll send them back. No,
I'm
But you
you're
can
wrong.
kinda-
also, you
I'm
can also go
trying.
the other
I'm
way
just
around.
telling you that what they're going to do is they're going to put another tax on so that they could hire more agents.
But don't they already
to
do
put
that?
these
Like,
things
but
together.
they're not
That's
trusting
happening.
us anyway. So
Like-
everything we send them, there's a machine somewhere. Used to be a person that's verifying that I'm not lying and cheating them. So they're doing it already in some form. So that paperwork that we get every year when January comes along for all our different investments and our things, the government gets it, we get it. Just like Michael says, just say what is done, what
Yeah.
I owe you, and let me mail you a check for it.
What I owe you and why,
Right.
and I can
Like,
review that much easier than
Don't
doing it
waste my
myself.
Sunday at a tax guy. Another $200 to pay taxes.
Yeah, more money I'm
more money
spending
I'm giving
Yeah.
for them.
that I've been taxed on.
Right.
Well, let's switch. You
That's
said
a
it's a
simple
big
system.
industry.
I get
Simple
it.
system.
No. Listen, I agree.
Big IRS guy over there.
No, I love
Loves
the
the
IRS.
IRS.
Love the IRS. Love the government.
It's like a reverse. You know, people you yell into your phone to like start the algorithm. It's like a reverse. I love government.
Yeah.
FBI, FBI, FBI.
I
Of the government.
I agree that it's first of all,
It's too much.
I agree that taxes are too much,
Yeah.
and I think we went off on a little bit of a tangent. But in terms of calculating and paying, it should be simplified.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be. And if they could pretend you a bill, I'm all for that. I don't disagree with that at all.
Man, and now they're spending all those millions.
I don't-
Aren't
I
they
don't-
bringing
I don't
AI
disagree.
into it? Right.
That's not good.
I'm just stuck on the fact that everything you do, you get taxed, and it just seems
Right.
like they're double, triple,
Quadruple
quadruple
and-
dipping on your money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then in the end, there's an inheritance tax and a state tax, so whatever
Yeah.
you manage to,
Through death.
what's the word I'm looking for? Cobble together in
Mhm.
your life, then the next generation
They're
gets
still
taxed
taking
for
it.
that.
Well,
They're still
let
taking
me
it.
It
ask
never
this.
stops.
Actually,
it's just
about
insane.
speaking of everything being taxed, something I just thought of, not exactly on topic, but I feel like because of this, because everything is taxed, a lot of places get away with like processing fee. You see that all the time when they're like buying
Yes.
stuff.
Mhm.
And like to me, I hardly ever look at them And you know,
They're
and
all-
sometimes they're like $7, $8
They can
on
be a
like
lot.
a 20.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they can
like
be
they
a
get
lot.
high, especially like tickets, right? The processing fee is huge.
It's
And I
most
feel
of
like
it.
because we're so used to being taxed on everything,
We
we're
don't
just like,
care.
oh yeah,
We don't
alright.
even care.
Well, it's just
Another
you know
fee.
we
like
know
fee. It's
like
such a
I
general.
think I
You
forget
know,
what country it
fees.
is, but somewhere they put the I think it's actually multiple places. They put the price with tax included. on
Almost
the
everybody
item,
does that except us.
right? Oh, I
Even
know.
some
lot of
states
places
I
do
know
it.
other places.
Like
A
New
lot of
Jersey, you
places
go
do it. So, like-
shopping for clothes, it's
Just gives you a
already
price.
rolled in.
It's already in.
So,
Please
like,
just do
I
that.
feel like that's the kind of thing that pushed us to like now places can be like, well, I'm gonna charge this
There's no
processing
tax
fee
on
because
clothes
they
in New York
know it's
State.
more expensive. Yeah, there's no tax on.
No,
clothes in
but
New
I'm
York State.
saying like
New
under
clothes.
under
No.
$150.
Well, no, no,
We didn't know.
you're wrong. Okay, so there's no state tax, I believe, in New York State for clothes, but every city, every county,
No, if
every
you
area.
go to Foot Locker
No.
right now and you buy a
Foot
shirt,
Locker
you're
in
not
New York
getting
City,
taxed.
there's
you
no-
go.
Are you serious?
You
There's
go.
no- There's no
you-
tax on
No
clothes.
tax
No.
on clothes.
You're-
Definitely not.
Hold up, I think you're talking about. You're talking about state tax, but if you go,
There's
Duty
the
free.
loophole,
a
Mike.
town could put it. If you go to, I believe in Long Island, you buy a shirt, it could be like a $2 thing
No,
because
I've
you're
never
paying.
been taxed in Long Island.
Yes.
I've
They
never
can't
been.
tax you.
I'm just
I
saying.
think you
I've
can.
never
It's a
been.
state law.
I'm saying I've never been
They
taxed in Long
can't.
Island.
I think it's New
Are you-
York State.
It's a state
tax.
law.
definitely in New York
I just
City.
went over this with my wife recently.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Well, you have to research because I definitely feel like I
We were
bought
just talking about
clothing
it, right?
recently in a store outside of the 5 boroughs, and I had a small tax. I had like
You
a
went to
county
a
tax.
consignment store. They
It
cheated.
wasn't.
Might have been a plastic bag or something.
It
Johnny.
wasn't.
Like, it wasn't like.
Look it up.
Are you telling me
Look it up.
there's
that
no
I can buy
under $50.
like 100 jeans?
No,
in New
there's
York?
a price limit to
There's
that.
a limit to it.
$150
Oh.
is the limit.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was gonna say I
But
could buy
Matt,
and then go
but
sell
you
them in
could- I do
Oregon
wanna
and,
get- I wanna get back
just
to
collect
Matt's-
the.
But you could buy it.
I wanna
get
go
difference?
back and
I
buy
guess
it
I wouldn't be
again.
collecting difference, would I?
I
But you
want to
could-
get back to
You can buy it
Matt's
and go in and buy
fee
again.
thing.
But I still think you're wrong.
I just thought it was an
But-
arbitrage
'cause-
situation, but now that I'm realizing that the tax would just
Because fees,
not go to you, so.
fees to me are almost like just another tax.
They are
It's
tax.
They are
coming,
They are tax.
coming from a non-government entity. And what cracks me up about
yeah, what a
ticket
tax
taxes,
would be, I guess.
like in the old days, I used to have to go stand online at J&R Music World to get a concert ticket.
Oh, yeah.
And if they charged you a fee, you understood. There was a lady behind the thing.
Right, she's
She
there.
had to print the ticket. She had
Right.
to look it up.
Right, right.
Now when
find a
everything's
good seat
automated,
fee.
you're like,
Now
what
it's
am
all
I?
automated. Like,
what is
am
the
I paying
fee?
for? What is the fee?
That's
Yeah.
it's always a process.
What am I
I love it.
processing?
Same thing when
What's
I
the
when I buy
processing fee?
tickets for like a run or something. Like, yeah, I know there's no one on the other side of that computer doing
Right,
anything. It's
right.
just it sends it to me. It's like, yeah, you've been
Why
entered,
am I paying
and it's like
this?
20. It's $25, $100 for a ticket, whatever, and it says like a $7.50 processing fee, and then like another ticket, and there's another one. I'm like, it was like $12.
Right.
Like,
It ruins cheap
Sorry,
tickets.
it's done. Huh?
More
Sorry,
so,
Johnny. Clothing and footwear under $110. I was wrong about the price. Are exempt from New York City and New York State tax.
New York City, New York State.
But
Right.
this is-
$110.
Okay, now look in Long Island. Look up
alright,
like
I
some
guess
Long
I'll
Island.
Look up exactly Long Island.
Right.
I mean, I did New York State.
And while you're
Yeah.
looking up that, like to what Michael's saying with all the fees, so where I live, I don't know if they're doing this everywhere, but where I live now, it's breaking my heart a little bit because now if you use a credit card, which I thought we were getting rid of cash everywhere, like
Right,
the cash
right.
was
They
old,
charge
But
you
it
more.
should
but
be
now
your
they're
own.
charging you a credit card fee
Yeah.
of 3.5%.
a lot of places do that. A lot of
Yeah,
They
places
do
charge card
here
fee now.
because mine are everywhere.
I just
and,
noticed a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot
it's
of
not even that
places.
new.
and they have a
I
note.
think it's spreading.
Yeah, and
I
then they
think
have a
places have
little note
always
if you
done it.
pay cash.
Certain
I'm like,
places.
you told me years ago not to carry cash. You didn't want cash.
2.5, 3.5% cheaper.
everybody-
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of places
Alright.
are doing that now.
Well,
Johnny.
because the stores are getting hit because the credit card companies are collecting
Right,
the fee.
it's too
Right,
much
right,
money.
And not only that, everywhere you go now, they turn the machine at you, and you got the
Tip.
tip.
I hate
Oh
that.
yeah, the
I hate
tip.
that.
handed me
That's
a
a-
beer.
that's
I
a
was
tax.
Did I ever tell you my story?
Hold on, wait. Before you go into that, and before you go, I want to go back.
Oh,
Did
I
you
wanted
get,
to.
did
Yeah,
you,
so
let's get
I
that
think
information.
I might see. So there is definitely no New York State.
I said that.
tax, right?
Right.
It does. The website, at least, it just says from New York State tax.
More
So
confusion.
I
Confusion.
could possibly.
It is. You can pay county
I don't
tax.
know. I don't know for sure, but there is a
100%.
chance that
Now
it counts.
I'll show you guys something I bought recently for clothing that had a small fee, and it upsets me because New York State again says you're not going to pay, but then all these little cities and counties and
They can do
towns
their
say
own.
I'm going to charge you. So you didn't do anything for me
Right.
because now I don't know
Well, not
again.
really. I mean, just go to New York City.
Well, yeah, but not everybody. But you're talking about people that might live up in Buffalo.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
who don't
You know, like like
Well,
gas and
I don't-
tolls
I
and
don't
more.
Then
think
he's got to
it's-
pay.
meant you.
Then he's got to pay the
But-
commuter fee and
Right.
come into the city.
Exactly.
No, but I
But-
don't think it's the. I don't think. I would say most places. I don't.
I everywhere I've been outside the 5 boroughs, I pay a
I've-
small tax.
in Long
But
Island,
my
I have
question
not
Johnny,
to
for the
that,
record, I
tax for
believed you the whole
clothing.
time.
thank you, Michael. But now my question is, when before this went away and you had the tax on clothing and shoes and all that, was there a tax by the state and all the local places you
I'm
were shopping
sure.
at one
I'm
I
point?
think it was shared.
I'm sure.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
So
they
now
just cut one.
the
I
state
think it was
took
like 8%.
But
Right.
yeah,
It was
and
62.
they-
and the county was 0.25.
so they
or
rolled it into
something.
one.
I think so.
And now they're
I don't know.
all
for
right. So
sure.
now the state took theirs out, and everybody's like, "No, but this is all." I feel like they raised
Hey,
theirs.
well,
They definitely split it because they split
wait,
normal
wait.
taxes
Oh, I was
gonna
between,
say-
like, Medicare,
Right,
right.
whatever, paid
Okay.
family leave in New York and stuff like
That's
that. So.
bullshit.
I was gonna
Okay.
tell my tipping story.
Oh yeah,
I
well
went
you
to-
you can go into that.
I went to
sorry.
Twisted Top It. I don't know if
It's
you've ever
just
been
another
there.
tax.
I don't know if you've ever been to Twisted Top It. It's
No.
self-serve.
Sounds
Self-serve.
inappropriate.
No joke. So I got it. I put it on
Wait,
the
hold
scale.
up. I don't know what this is.
It's
Twisted
an ice
Top It.
cream,
It's
like,
self-serve
yogurt place
frozen
or-
yogurt.
Oh,
You go in, you get the cup,
16
put
handles.
the frozen
That's like a
yogurt-
thing now.
you know.
Okay.
Or it has been for a while.
Okay.
Anyway,
Make your own Sunday.
Did we just
I-
give a plug to someone? Did we get paid for that?
no. But
yeah.
I think
no-
he's gonna say something bad about it. So
No
hold
joke.
on.
No joke. You put it on the scale. They tell you how much it's worth. You pay, and they turn it actually a tip. I'm like, look. I'm like too. I feel
you're
bad.
young
I
and you're
feel
against
bad
it.
not
I
tipping.
love it.
I feel bad not
No,
tipping.
it's just
I
the
do.
automated ones when they turn it on
Yeah.
you. I'm
Yeah,
like, dude,
I
you
feel,
didn't even do anything.
I
I'm
feel
looking
bad.
at you.
I feel bad not
You picked
tipping
something out of a fridge, man.
because
I'll
I
grab it.
know
They do.
in the United States, tipping isn't actually for service. It's just because like you can pay less
A lot
to
of
people
places
who
don't
would
have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also,
Right.
but I'm fine
Like-
with that for waiters and waitresses who
Right.
are
no,
working.
no, no, no.
Do-
I'm saying,
do something.
I feel bad because I know, like the person I'm actually not tipping, like it's not, you know, like they wouldn't want tips. I'm sure they would want the higher wage, you know. So I do feel bad, but I'm like, so usually, you know, if I see it, if I'm feeling like I'm having a good day, I'll do it. But like at Twisted Top, I'm like, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? It's like,
No,
but
here's-
basically,
here's-
in other words, what I'm saying is usually
Wait.
where Mike was saying, like, put the work in. I won't criticize that. Like, if someone just makes a coffee, like I won't be like, oh, definitely don't tip, like whatever. I'm
I
not
love
tipping
Twisted Top It,
25%.
by the way.
Yeah, I'm not
I
tipping
never heard of it.
25% for someone making a coffee. I don't drink coffee, but if I did, you know. But I understand, like, you know, they did a little bit of work. They're getting paid less, whatever. But like, I did this. All they did was put in. You know what I mean? I put it on the scale. It tells them how much it's worth, right? And like, all they did was
Yeah,
press
you really
the
did the
button.
hard work.
And
You should get.
You
My-
should
I
have got
You should
tipped.
tip yourself.
This
It should
is
just
true.
go right back into your
I
account.
But
mean,
that's
listen,
good.
Tipping should be optional.
yeah, oh, yeah.
And when they throw it in your face, I almost feel like I don't want to tip them then.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
right.
only
That's what
at.
bothers me.
It's only at like generally either fast food places or even non.
Right.
It's everywhere.
Like just
No,
a
it's
random.
everywhere.
I can't think of one off
But-
the top of my head right now, but I feel like I've been to non even service places.
It is.
they ask
It's
for a tip.
everywhere.
And
now.
I'm like confused. They spin the thing around. I'm like, what tip?
Yeah.
Right.
Tip what?
They do it
Like
everywhere.
this isn't. Hypothetically, this isn't true, but like a grocery store. If I went to my local, I'm like, I walked around and shopped.
Yeah, yeah.
What am I tipping you for? You
Um,
rang me up. Give me a self
I'm sure-
checkout.
I've heard of people saying it's in some grocery stores.
That's what I
Yeah,
feel
I'm
like I have
sure
not
it
mine. That's
is.
what I was saying
Yeah, yeah.
hypothetically, but
But
that's
like-
the
I
idea.
throw a tip
where I
in
do
the
everything.
cup if they bag for me. I mean, I
Well,
feel
yeah, that's
a
different. That's
service.
just
They
a.
bag for
But
you,
let's
yeah, but
if I'm
I'm
let's
saying
pull
like
off of this
all they're doing
one.
is standing behind the scanner.
Because
Let's back up a
we
little
have a whole episode we want to do on this
Yeah,
tipping
we
culture.
really went across.
Yeah, I think a lot of these, whether it's the fees that are generally marked up, you have no idea what they're for. I mean, particularly one time I was buying, we thought we had a great deal. I mean, it was still a good deal, but we were getting either Mets tickets or Yankees tickets, $10.
Yeah.
And so $10, I'm trying to get it on Ticketmat, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm going through the process. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, you know, free, pretty much. It's like almost a free game,
Right,
$10.
right.
We go, the processing fee's like $20-some.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever. It's still $35. It's still a good price for tickets. But I'm like, the ticket doesn't. What's $25 in processing fees for
Right,
this ticket
for this
ticket.
off Ticketmaster online? And I get a ticket sent to my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just another
It's
tax.
just-
Because
yeah.
where does the processing fee go?
Well,
Exactly.
Ticketmaster's-
Company
It's
collects
going
the
somewhere,
processing
and then
fee,
they're
they
paying
get
tax.
taxed on it, right? It's like
Ticketmaster's been getting
So
in a lot
wha-
of trouble for that.
One of the worst parts, and like I agree with the processing fees, but it wasn't until this summer where it really hit me hard because I bought tickets to see a concert at what's that little venue in Jersey?
PNC Arts
Yeah,
Center.
I went there,
Mm.
right? And I
Oh.
bought tickets and I paid a processing fee. When I went to the concert, they before the concert started, they're talking about the concerts coming up,
Mm.
right? And I'm looking them up online, and I'm like, oh, that's a good show. I'm gonna buy it. And you know, I got into my cart, and it was all the processing fees again. But I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm gonna get a beer. So I left, and I didn't do it quick, and I didn't do it at that moment. When I went into where the bathroom and the food venue were, there was this tent set up where you can buy tickets for future shows, and the tickets that I wanted were there. They were cheaper and no processing fee. There were 3 people working there, and they printed the ticket out.
See?
And I'm like,
How does that work?
and in my head, I was ready, like,
Was the same price as like
But
the
they
lowest
asked for a
price on
tip,
the
didn't they?
website,
It was lower than on the website.
without processing fee or
Without lower
Wow.
ticket, no processing fee,
Wow.
and they
and they
gave
did
me,
everything.
I'm
and I'm
gonna tell
like,
you why.
yeah.
what?
I'm going to tell you why.
I was so confused.
I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
Because that's how they get people like you to compulsive buy it. They know they'll get you to buy it.
I was
he
going
was
to buy
about
it.
to buy it
I was
anyway.
going to buy
No,
it.
It was all a
he
trip.
was about to, but he put it in his cart. He walked away.
Well, no, to get a beer,
Right?
I wanted a beer real quick.
I know, but you know, sometimes
Before the line got
sometimes
big.
you forget things,
Alcohol is
right?
important.
Look, you
Speaking
put it right
of
in your
which.
cart, but some people looked at that thing and said, "Oh, I should get those tickets."
Maybe.
And then didn't think about it again.
Yeah.
But then on the way to the bathroom, they saw that ticket thing
Right. But
and they bought the tickets.
agreed,
and they knew
agreed.
they had you.
100%. But I was shocked that there was no problem.
Yeah, I
Because like
know.
you said,
That's what I
there's
said.
a
It's like-
service.
I'm taking
No, I
guerrilla
agree,
marketing
I
over
agree.
taxes. I mean, I don't know. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm taking, you know, if it's between like people are just gonna keep trying to sell me stuff, or I have to keep paying processing fees, I'll take the people trying to sell me
Yeah,
stuff.
you can
Yeah,
just say
yeah,
You
yeah.
no.
Like if people are gonna offer things for cheaper just because they know I'll buy it, I'll buy it.
Yeah,
That's okay.
100%. You got me.
Yeah,
No,
but
I
just
agree with
between
that,
the
of course.
extra fees and
Yeah.
we even mentioned tipping, you know, not that it's a tax, but it works a similar way, and they get taxed
In
on
the- in
its
this
earnings that
country,
they
yeah,
get
they-
taxed on
yeah.
anyway.
Right,
So
they get taxed on
somebody's
that too.
getting it, you know, and I think that's just the biggest problem. I think that we've all sort of talked about is just that if it was one thing, if I just get taxed on my income and it goes to schools and roads, I can deal with that. I can live with that if I knew where it was going. But then also I get taxed 4, 5 times, 6 times on anything I buy. It's coming and going.
Yeah.
It's this. It's inheritance. It's a million times
Well,
over.
money,
which is the part that is like hard to
Well, somewhere,
hard to stomach.
somewhere out there, I'm sure there's a report that's probably 7 feet high that breaks down where all our tax money's going, right? The thing is, accountability is important with these taxes because you just continue to get taxed. Like you said, the property taxes go up. I mean, my property tax has gone up every year I'm here. My sewers have never been replaced.
Yeah.
Right? My road has never been repaved. Well, maybe it's been repaved once, but I mean, I could tell you they never ripped our streets up to do sewers over.
Right.
They never did. Like, so that's an improvement you would like to have, right? You know, the water pipes coming in that sometimes burst, you know, whether that's yours or theirs, but I mean, their side should be replaced, right? So at least
Yeah.
you know,
Should be top
so-
notch.
so
it should be
if
up
you
to date.
knew-
You know?
Again,
Right.
it's the thing.
Yeah, because
Either
you're
way,
talking
it's
about
too much.
right.
But if it was getting used for something, for a purpose, and
I
you
could
knew
deal with-
it
I could
was,
live
you
with
Right,
that.
Sure.
because what you're saying is such a valid point. There's people out there that live in, especially in some areas around here, like
Mhm.
anytime there's bad rain, they're flooded.
They're flooded.
Their basements
Yeah.
are, and they go through it multiple times
Right.
a season,
Right.
and nothing gets fixed.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
that's exactly like I'm paying for this. Why are you
Right.
not fixing it?
Right.
And like you said, if you can just show me what it's being used for in the smallest version of it, people would be a little bit okay. But you're showing nothing.
I wonder if there really is, like, I wonder how specific the paperwork is for how, you know what I mean?
for where the money's
For where the
going.
money's going.
It's not.
I wonder if it just goes to a pool at some point,
Matt,
and
even
it's
if it
just
wa-
like we
even
have
if
this
it
much
was
money we're gonna pull
specific,
from it.
It's probably such a large thing to look at.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not
Like
saying
you
but
said,
look at-
7 foot. I'm
but I'm
thinking
just
like
saying, like,
7
It is going.
stories.
It is going to a pool, some giant swimming pool that some rich guys diving into.
Well, yeah.
You know,
No, but,
like,
I'm wondering,
Scrooge
like,
McDuck.
You know, I'm wondering if like everybody's property tax from the area, they're actually like, all right, let's put this into the area, or if it just goes to a pool
doubt
and it's
it.
just
Nah,
like
I doubt it. I think
probably
it gets
goes to a
pulled
pool,
up.
right? That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like you have no idea.
All right, well, this didn't make me feel better at all. What about you
But,
guys?
yeah, I'm still angry.
I actually feel worse. I'm more angry about taxes. than I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
I was
I'm-
coming in here thinking I'm going to defend it because I was like, I actually do believe in the social aspect of taxes
Right.
as far
I
as
think
like
we
you
all
need it
agree.
for
So does
things.
everybody.
I think we all
Yeah.
agree.
I
there's a
know, but
need.
it's just
There's
it's
a
a shame
need.
that it doesn't. It's not
But it's
work
broken.
properly.
But there should be better accountability.
It's broken.
for
Yeah.
where it
Money's
goes.
Yeah.
taxed every time it changes
And we should
hands,
understand
right? I
when
mean-
our
We
taxes
agree,
are
we
going up
understand.
exactly why.
We do agree. We do understand.
Yeah.
But it's very broken and needs to be adjusted and
Yeah.
fixed and kind of
Revolution.
rewritten.
So we're still
Yeah.
angry.
A bit.
But Michael still loves the IRS.
I love the IRS.
Of
and I love
course.
the government.
I love government. I love Big Brother.
Well, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed our podcast today.
And always stay angry.